Ravens flock, we are closing in on 14,000 subscribers here on the channel, just less than 300 away from our next milestone. Can we get there before the Ravens return to the football field? For daily news and rumors, live shows, mailbags, watch parties, and more, join the family. Doesn't cost you a thing. Absolutely 100% free. Subscribe now. We'll get started with today's show. Glad to have you with us here on Ravens Rundown. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for stopping by as we are talking bye-week changes for your Baltimore Ravens. Let's face it, the vibes are very good. Things are going fantastic for the Baltimore Ravens as we enter the home stretch of the 2023 season. But what could they do differently? I have some ideas. Nothing really major, if I'm going to be honest with you, but just some things to keep in mind as the Ravens get ready to make this playoff push. Let's set the scene for you here. The Ravens with the best record in the AFC, first place in the AFC North. Things are going really good for this team at 9-3, in control of their own destiny. And you look at where they're at statistically. This is a team that is well balanced, that's great on both sides of the ball. Sixth in scoring offense, 27 points per game. Second in scoring defense, allowing just 15.6 points per game. The Ravens look as good on both sides of the football combined as any team in the NFL. The record is not a lie by any means. The Ravens have earned it based on what they've done through these first 12 games of the season. Playoff picture as it stands, we mentioned the Ravens with that top seed as of right now, ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs, the Jags, and the Dolphins. But all three of those teams are a half game back. They could tie the Ravens with a win this upcoming weekend. The Ravens, though, still have some teams with them, as you can see within the wild card picture with the Steelers and the Browns back there as well. The upcoming schedule, we mentioned the Steelers are on it, with the Rams coming up after the bye week. Then you have back-to-back tough road games with the Jags and the Niners, and then you finish off with the Dolphins and the Steelers. So this is a very demanding final 5 games. I mean, the worst opponent on there, the Rams, they're capable of beating anybody. They still have Aaron Donald, Matt Stafford, and Cooper Kupp on that team. So it won't be easy for what the Ravens have to go through to finish out the season here. For me, the magic number, what I'm looking at for this Baltimore Ravens team, is 13 wins. If you get to 13, you may not even be the number 1 seed just because of how close everybody is. But I think you're going to comfortably win the division title at that point. And you're going to be in really good shape. Maybe you're not the 1, but you're at least the 2 seed. I would be surprised if you got to 13 wins and somehow weren't at least the 2 seed. Might be good enough to be the 1, but I think that's what you're looking at in this final stretch. If Baltimore can go 4 out of 5, then you're in great shape as you get ready for the playoffs in January here. That's the goal, I think, realistically, of what you want to achieve here over this final stretch. What's the Ravens' final record going to be? I'm telling you they need to get to 13 wins. What do you guys think? It's our pinned comment today. Be bold in that comment section. Tell me how you think the rest of the 2023 regular season is going to play out for Baltimore. Now the changes for the Ravens. Let's start with Isaiah Likely. And I got to tell you, I really liked what I saw from Isaiah Likely this past week in his first game starting in place of Mark Andrews, with Andrews likely done for the rest of the season. It was a huge step forward in the right direction. But now we need to see that continue and his role increase in this offense. Continue to be trusted to take those big steps in the right direction for this Baltimore Ravens team. And I got to say, when you entered this past week with only 9 catches on the season, and you got 4 in that first game, to me, that told me that the Ravens are all in on Isaiah Likely, that they're not afraid to give this guy a significant role. And I think that you're going to see things pay off as time goes on. It's not just going to be one guy replacing Mark Andrews here. Obviously, Isaiah Likely is the most significant guy to replace Mark Andrews here, but when it comes to this receiving core, it's going to be all hands on deck with OBJ and Zay Flowers and Nelson Aguilar, Rashad Bateman, all these guys picking up the load. Likely right now, his stats with those 4 catches you added in, 13 catches total, 129 yards, and averaging 9.9 yards per reception at this point. Likely, I think you're going to see those numbers continue to go up, and he'll play a significant role. And the hope would be that you don't have a ton of fall off between what we saw from Mark Andrews to Isaiah Likely. Right now, your active depth chart for the Ravens at the tight end spot of active players is only Likely and Charlie Kolar. I'd like to see Charlie Kolar step up a bit and play a decent role in this offense. I think he's got a ton of capabilities, but we really haven't seen a ton of him at this point in time. Number 2 on our bye week changes, and this is part of that control what you can control thing, right? Healing up on the injury reports. It would be very nice if the Ravens could get some of these guys back that have been out for a while, and it seems like that there's a big opportunity for several guys to potentially make their return over the next few weeks. Some names that we haven't heard from in quite a bit. David Ojabo will not be one of those guys. He is done for the rest of the year as he's having ACL surgery. But here's some of the names to watch out for on the Ravens injury report that we could see back here soon. Marlon Humphrey, Justin Madubuike, Malik Harrison, Trenton Simpson. Those guys have all been kind of day-to-day, week-to-week with their injuries, all of them questionable in their statuses. But look at this for guys that are going to be coming off of IR here in the coming days and have their 21-day windows and all that. Darius Washington, Malik Ham, Demarion Williams. That will go a long way to have those guys and add some key pieces. I mean, I know that it's been unfortunate to lose J.K. Dobbins and Mark Andrews and all that, but to get some of these guys back, that'll be a big help for this Ravens team just to have these guys part of the rotation in the mix there as far as I'm concerned. Who's been the MVP of the season for the Baltimore Ravens so far? There's a number of different answers that you could go with. For me, I got to go Roquan Smith. Roquan, I think he's the best linebacker we've seen the Ravens have since Ray Lewis was around. He is having a historic season with this Baltimore Ravens team. He's the guy I'd point to as the MVP, but Lamar would be a great answer. Zay Flowers had a great season. Geno Stone, Kyle Hamilton. There's a number of different options. Who is the MVP for the Ravens so far in 2023? Weigh in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Number 3 on our bye week changes, we turn our attention to Keaton Mitchell. The undrafted free agent out of East Carolina has really started to come into his own in this Ravens offense. He's been awesome. He's been a lot of fun. And you got to give credit to Todd Monken and to John Harbaugh for trusting him and seeing him take some big steps in this running game. Now I want to see more of what we could see from Keaton Mitchell. Continue to take those steps in the right direction. I mean, he's averaging close to 10 yards a carry already with 2 touchdowns. He's got the explosiveness. He's shown the ability in the receiving game as well. And when you look at this depth chart, he's technically your number 3 back right now, but we've seen him see his playing time, his snaps go up, where I believe the last couple of games he's been getting more snaps than Justice Hill. And, you know, I'll say this much. I do like what I've seen from Keaton Mitchell and the way his role's increased. But think about this. Just as a whole, the Ravens are doing a lot of things right with this run game right now. First in the league in run play percentage, second in yards per rush, second in yards per game, first in rushing yards per game, first in rushing touchdowns per game. Obviously, Lamar is a big part of that equation as well. But credit to Keaton Mitchell. I would say that the Ravens' running game wouldn't be where it is right now if it weren't for Keaton Mitchell, that he's been that good in what we've seen the last few weeks, and I think that we need to see more of him, continue to see his role increased, and you'll see those numbers go up for this Ravens rushing attack, continue with the success they've had. And you know, remember, Harbaugh made it known that they weren't going to bring in a big-time running back when there was a lot of talk at the trade deadline and all that. He said, hey, trust me. We got the guys with Gus, with Justice Hill, and with Keaton Mitchell, and he was right. Ultimately, he did a great job of rolling with what they had, trusting what they had, and it's paid off for this group so far to this point. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Prize Picks, real simple. Here's how you play with Prize Picks, folks. You choose 2 or more players on any given category, from fantasy points to pass completions to passing yards, all sorts of different stuff you can choose from. You can mix and match from NFL, to college football, the NBA, all sorts of different sports. And with the Ravens off this week, I'm going to do a little mix and matching myself. I'm going to do a little NFL college football combo. I'm going with Geno Smith to have more than 230.5 passing yards. I got Bo Nix in the Pac-12 championship to have more than 332.5 passing yards, and also for Bo Nix to have more than 10.5 rushing yards. If I put $20 down and all three of these hit, I'm making $100 on Prize Picks. You can make money on Prize Picks too. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS to play along today and get that $100 deposit match. Link is in the comments and the description of today's video. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Number 4 on our bye week changes, cleaning up the little stuff. In a team that's playing as well as the Baltimore Ravens is, it's kind of hard to find some major flaws and weaknesses. But as you examine this team a little further, there is some cleaning up to do when it comes to the turnovers and the penalties, right? I mean, it's pretty simple. When you examine the 3 losses that the Ravens have had, it's simply come down to 2 things: turnovers and penalties, and cleaning up those little things will go a long ways in pursuit of this team chasing perfection, right? In those 3 turnovers for the Ravens this season, those 3 losses, they've committed a total of 7 turnovers. That's 2.3 per loss this season. If you take care of the football, you win. That's been the story of the Baltimore Ravens this year. And we talked a lot about previously. Lamar, with all the fumbles and all that, he's done a better job as of late, but that will be something to continue to monitor. The Ravens have to take care of the football. If they do so, they'll be in good shape. Another thing to watch for as far as penalties go, this is kind of alarming of some sorts. The Ravens are in the bottom half in almost every category in the league when it comes to penalties. Penalties per play, 16th in the league. Penalties per game, 15th in the league. Penalty yardage, 25th in the league. And then penalty yards, they're 9.4, 31st in the league. Got to clean those things up. If you do that, you're going to make life a lot easier on yourselves here in this second half of the season, the final stretch here. One more bye week change to get to in a moment, but first, what is something the Ravens need to change during the bye week? I've mentioned a few things. What about you at home? Whether it's something you agree with me or something that comes to mind, chime in, tell me what you think, something you'd like to see different from the Ravens going down the home stretch of 2023. Last on the bye week changes for the Ravens, expanding the offensive playbook. Now, Todd Monken, as you guys know, I have been a big fan of Todd Monken for a long time. I was calling for him to be the next offensive coordinator of the Ravens last year. I think I was the very first person in all the Ravens media that wanted Todd Monken. And here we are, and we've seen Todd do a really good job with this offense, and things have paid off. The first few months when Todd Monken came in was about the install, right? Getting everybody on the same page. And to an extent, the install was kind of coming from behind, right? Because Lamar, with his contract situation, wasn't at OTAs and all that. There was a while to kind of catch everybody up to speed. And then once they adapted and found out who they were, then we started to see this group really come together, and this offense has been like clockwork ever since. Now with this bye week and going forward, now that everybody's on the same page and this offense is cooking, both in the pass game and the run game, they're doing everything well. Now you can take that next step in advancing it down that final stretch. You know, one of the things for years that, take example, Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs have been so successful about is that their offense is pretty vanilla in the regular season. But then when you get to the home stretch in the postseason, Andy Reid has always done a good job of expanding the playbook and doing things that defenses haven't seen all year. That's what I want to see from Todd Monken and this Ravens team as we go down this next stretch. This offense has been awesome. Creating space, attacking the entire field, strong run game, more play action. We've seen the air raid concepts. I think the biggest success we've seen from Monken's offense this year is dictating tempo. At times, they go no huddle if they need. At times, they control the football and wear out the clock. They play complementary football, which you can't say about everybody in the NFL. And then using those tight ends to create mismatches, and we're already seeing it with Isaiah Likely in place for Mark Andrews. These statistics, let's show you these numbers right now. Things are good. 6th in points, 7th in yards per game, 4th in points per play. red zone scoring, 3rd in the league, and touchdown percentage and touchdowns per game, they're 7th in the league. Things are really good. But if they can really expand it, instead of being maybe 6th or 7th in some of those categories, we could talk about them being 1st. And there's still another step up as far as I'm concerned. I like this group, but there's still one more step to go, I think. Subscribe now for more Ravens coverage. We'll still be with you throughout the bye week here on the channel. And then you better believe we'll get you ready for game week next week when the Ravens take on the Rams. Stick around for more Ravens coverage. We'll see you next time right here on Ravens Rundown.